Welcome to the solar eclipse in Aries. We've just had an eclipse in Virgo, March 14th, and now we embark on the second eclipse of this season because that's how it works. On March 29th, we have a solar eclipse, which is the equivalent of a new moon, just on steroids and turbo energy. It's the cosmic washing machine, changing up the frequency, changing up your destiny, and especially during a new moon solar eclipse. This is a fresh incoming energy of big changes that could affect every area of your life, but of course specifically where 9 degrees of Aries falls in your chart. The eclipse occurs at 8:59, but we round that up to 9 degrees. Where is 9 degrees of Aries in your chart? Because that area is being ignited with a lot of energy, boosting new frequencies, fresh incoming energies, because it's the nature of a new moon just on steroids and turbo energy. Now, the nodes have changed signs since January of 2025. So we're no longer officially in the North Node Aries storyline, but apparently we are because we do have an eclipse in Aries. And in the sign of Aries, well, that's turbo because Aries is very energetic, is very motivational, it's very inspiring, passionate. It's all about leadership and taking charge, moving forward. Action oriented. That's because it's ruled by Mars. So this is going after your goals, making it happen. But now, the universe is shaking up the destiny. This is a washing machine kind of energy, right? So things are being upside down, down, up, and who can tell even which side is which. So the idea is that destiny is taking over and fate is at play, and this is divine intervention. So there's only so much you can do with eclipses. It's really about trusting what comes in and trust what is leaving your reality. With a solar eclipse, which is basically a new moon, the energetics would be that something is being eclipsed in. But of course, just like upside down, which is which, when is it an ending and when is it a beginning, and is an end equivalent to a beginning anyway? So change is the nature of an eclipse. That is a sure thing. So the 9 degrees Aries in your chart is changing. Something is brought into light. Something is really starting. I think that's what we can say for sure. Something at 9 degrees of Aries is starting. And this is enhanced when you have planets around 9 degrees, let's say from 6 degrees till 12 degrees, it's very affected. But that also would mean 6 to 12 degrees of the other cardinal signs, which is Libra and also Capricorn and Crab. We've had a lot of new moons at 9 degrees. We had 5 consecutive new moons at 9 degrees just before this eclipse. So basically 5 months of new moons at 9 degrees. Now this would be if we, discard that it's 8 degrees, 59 minutes, and so 1 minute away from 9. But that's technical, right? So it's kind of 9 degrees. So that would make it actually the 6th consecutive new moon. So 6 months of new moon energy. But this one, closes out with a hammer because it's a solar eclipse. So 9 degrees clearly is a significant number, and I think it's interesting that we are at a 9 year in 2025, because when you add 2, 2, and 5, you have 9. So numerologically, we are in the energy of 9 anyway, and then we have a lot of new moons. So 9 in numerology is slightly different than in astrology, but in astrology, it's Sagittarius, right? So I think what we're really pushed to do, and I feel this intensely myself, but is to liberate yourself from any constraints and to free yourself up into who you really are or who you have become. Now, embodying yourself fully means that you want to move away from anything that holds you back. Even just 1%, it's highly irritating. So it's time to break free. It's time to break out. And it's time to cut ties and cut out patterns that have kept so many of us stuck for so many years and maybe lifetimes, maybe generations. Sagittarius is also, about inspiration, passion, just like Aries itself. It's also a trine in astrology, Aries and Sagittarius. So it's a natural relationship they both have. So we are also called to take more adventure, to discover, and to go into new territories, to broaden our horizons. This is the Sagittarius sauce on top of the Aries energy during this solar eclipse. And I think that's very fascinating. So not only are we pushed clearly, very strongly with the Aries energy, but it's also in the direction of Sagittarius. So that just adds more depth to the Aries, in the sense that, Aries can go head first into action without thinking too much, without thinking about consequences. But Sagittarius can, with the accumulated knowledge and the inspiration and backed up with belief and faith, it just brings more direction to the Aries vibration. Technically, astrologically, the eclipse is making no aspects to other planets. I mean, if you consider the 5-degree orbs. So I think this is just interesting that it's on its own a little bit, and that enhances that desire for freeness, the desire to spark away and lead your own direction, your own beingness. But if we look more wider, in a wider sense orb, and still, definitely astrologically backed up, we can say that it's also sextiling Pluto and it's also sextiling Jupiter. And so we're going to go into what that means. And also Mars, the ruler of Aries, is making a lot of aspects himself as well, and that adds to what this could mean. Now, Aries is also, of course, about fighting, aggression, irritation, warriorness, fighting for something. There's an urge, we need to follow that impulsivity. It's like a child, that energy. It's very honest and in a way innocent. The Aries energy is very direct, so it just wants to go towards what it wants to go towards. And this is just meeting our goals, carrying motivation and passion into action. So where are we leading ourselves towards? What kind of freer way are we doing that? Or where is that desire? Is there such a desire to break free, to break out? Because then you are aligned and on time with this energy. What is fascinating is slightly the timeline, because, well, March 14th, we had the first eclipse of the season, starting with Virgo at 24 degrees. that was a total lunar eclipse with a lot of endings, a lot of intensity. We are now in the corridor between two eclipses, which they call the twilight zone. And so everything is weird, everything is warpy, and it's a little off. And you could really feel very odd. And that's because, you know, eclipses come in pairs. So we just had one, and this is the closing out of the season until September. Destiny is taking over, right? It's at the driver's seat. So it's there's a lot of incoming energies from the universe, from your soul, and so it's a wild frequency. I mean, if they would care or do, maybe they do, if they would measure like the frequencies in between eclipses, it would be charged way up, way more than usual. And this can come in the form of, you know, ear ringing. I just had that yesterday, very intense. But you could feel literally warpy, like you're not strong on your own feet, like you feel little, you know, out of balance, maybe even mentally. A lot of, you know, interesting insights could come in, like, whoa, you know, big concepts, new ideas, but also maybe some stuff about yourself, about your desires, about your goals, about your ambitions, about how you want to lead your life forward, but also, you know, maybe how you want to break free and out of patterns coming from your heritage, your lineage, your family, you know, patterns and blockages that are keeping you stuck, keeping you in a continual spiral of the same topics. You know, all of us are, until we break free, until we heal, um, until we heal the root cause that is making us go round and round and round. And so you could have a lot of ideas or thoughts or, you know, things that help you liberate yourself. You know, I'm in the middle of fasting, and I'm also doing the presence process, which is a lovely sort of workbook that I can highly recommend. But, you know, until you're ready, really, because it's about a lot of awareness. And so the only thing you can do, I think, between eclipses, on eclipses, around eclipses, is just to be hyper aware of what's coming in, what the messages are, and what the experiences are, what it's trying to tell you, so that, you know, once eclipses energies have cooled down, you can implement and take those new routes, uh, that the seeds have, you know, the seeds have been put there during eclipses probably, but, you know, so that's why you need to be aware. You need to know what these seeds are, what the messages are telling you, so, you know, where to go, you know what to do when the energy is settled. In Aries words, stay very alert. Stay alert and aware of what's going on and what's coming in. A lot of ideas and wild understandings can come into your awareness. And this can have consequences for you personally, for your own life, to break free, to come into more leadership, more creative potential, because you're given the keys to now step out of old realities. And again, the timeline thing, not only are we having two eclipses and all that is just really strange energy, very high voltage frequency, lots of energies, which can be unsettling, can make you restless, can make you moody, can make you anxious and scared sometimes, just very overwhelmed feeling. Just before the Virgo eclipse, I felt very like the pressure was very strong, and I felt like I couldn't almost take it anymore. That could be very eclipsy, okay? But other than that, other timelines that interplay here and is significant is that at the same time that these eclipses are occurring, we also have a Mars retrograde. We also have a Mercury retrograde. Ooh, a lot of communication issues. You know, it's very hard for me to find the right words. I had my computer was frozen a few days ago when I was writing a very important report. You know, stuff like that. Maybe, you know, you having communication issues. Maybe people are attacking you in some way. Maybe, you know, there's, you know, just a lot of misunderstandings. Things that you write are maybe not the right words, or it's offending someone. Well, that's the Mercury retrograde. But then we also have Venus retrograde. And Mars technically is still in post-shadow period, so not in full potential power. So a lot of retrogrades that is putting our usual way of behaving and doing and thinking just in a whole different direction. It's slower. I think it's intentionally slower so that we catch up on all of these changes during these eclipses. Also because the Virgo Pisces axis, where the nodes are, is an energy that's difficult to understand. On the one hand, it's very physical in Virgo, and on the other hand, the Piscean energy is just very hard to grasp, because it's about the unseen, magical, mystical side of life, right? So the spiritual beingness. So it's very hard for our normal day-to-day selves to handle those ideas and concepts and energies, really. The retro is very intentional to slow us down in the usual way of doing things. For instance, with Venus, it's the usual way of you wanting something, desiring something, receiving something. Are you open to what you really want? You know, do you have the self-worth, the self-love, the self-esteem to back it up, to help you attract in what you really want? So Venus is being reflective, meaning that side of ourselves about love, relationships, money, self-esteem, self-worth, but also finances, possessions. We are reflective about that energy because everything in the world is changing dramatically. Okay, there's a lot of drama. And this new moon solar eclipse in Aries is, a little drama. Aries has a little drama in itself. And then, like I said, Mercury is very reflective and slow in its expression, in its thinking. But this is also affecting commerce, business, trade, and, the internet, communication devices, electronic devices, but also mobility. That's also what Mercury is about. So the energy is off in our personal day-to-day lives. The personal aspects of ourselves are like slightly on pause, on hold, frozen in time, because everything is like a whirlwind around us, a whirlwind of change. And this is because we are in not only eclipses, but just a lot of outer planet changes. Okay, outer planets is about the collective, is about consciousness, awareness, is about higher expressions, your soul self, your spiritual aspect, what's more beyond just this lifetime or just life on earth. And so the outer planets just break us apart. It changes everything that we thought was normal. And there's a lot of outer planet activity because basically all outer planets and all gateway planets, which some call outer planets as well, are changing signs in 2025. And it started, of course, with Pluto in 2024. But at the end of November, so might as well add that to 2025. So a lot of changes. And how's that gonna look? Well, I don't know. I don't know if this has ever happened before where everything changes, you know? The economy changes. The political arena is changing. I guess it's relatively new, but famous people, celebrities, stars, that whole concept is changing. You know, just a nice example is everybody's an influencer now, like on social media. You know, everybody's famous. Everybody had their 15 seconds or whatever minutes of fame, and, you know, we broke it down. There's no more celebrity-ness. It's not interesting anymore because everybody can make YouTube videos, right? So changes in authority, you know, changes in what we find normal, changes in religion, changes in beliefs. It's fundamentally going to change every experience. It's going to change technology. It's insane. And I think part of the insanity is in the chart is the whole big massive stellium that is hugely in Pisces and a little bit in Aries during this eclipse. And you know, you probably know there's Saturn is in Pisces, and this is all conjunct. Not only is it a stellium, but it's like really like it's on top of each other. We have Saturn in Pisces 24 degrees, North Node 27 degrees, 3 degrees apart. Then we have 1 degree apart, Venus retrograde. Then we have 1 degree apart, Neptune at 29 degrees and 58 minutes of Pisces. Let's stay here for 1 second because this is the last and final lunation that Neptune is in Pisces. And it means that during this lunation, Neptune is ending its cycle of 165 years around the zodiac. And it was in its own sign Pisces since 2011. And it's interesting that the Mayan calendar said that in 2012 the world ended, right? With Neptune entering Pisces around that time. I mean, I don't know about you, but my life certainly has changed dramatically since Neptune in Pisces. And I think I don't think there's anyone who would say that since 2019 everything hasn't changed. And that was Neptune in Pisces. Of course, other stuff going on in Capricorn as well, but I think changing the way we see, almost seeing the unseen, is the Neptunian expression, because Neptune decides, in a way, what is cloaked, what isn't visible in its fullest form. And so we call that unseen, invisible, or not there for some. Seeing the threads in between experiences, events, behavior, and results, basically cause and effect, right? Consequences. For a very long time in history, we were not able to connect the dots. And now everything is speeding up and we're able to see the relationships in between. And like I said, Neptune decides what we see and what we don't see, in a way. Not just Neptune, but in its very strongest form, because it decides, like I said, what's blurry and what's clear to the vision. Because Neptune is about illusions, these last 14 years, we have been struggling with personal and collective illusions. And a lot has been shattered, thankfully, because, of course, living a lie is the worst thing you can do. It was hard to face truths. It was hard to see the thin red line connecting issues. It was very confrontational to see and accept that some things were not good, some things are, dare I say, evil and bad, that not everybody's thinking about your well-being. And we've lost a lot of innocence, which are Aries words, right? The Piscean Neptunian word that's similar is naivety, naivete, okay? Naivete is very dangerous. You can be innocent in your pureness, in your purity, and that's kind of okay. Definitely a child is innocent, and that's beautiful. And if your intentions are innocent, that's beautiful. But naivete is very damaging in its potential. It's that fogginess of Neptune. It makes you not see or not want to see what is really going on because you feel that that's too much. So, I mean, this has opened the whole awareness, presence, living in the now, you know, the wokeness, right? The conspiracy theory name of a movement that's really awakening to many truths and breaking and shattering those illusions. It's very easy to call something a conspiracy, of course. We have Jupiter in Gemini, which is actually sextiling, right, this lunation, to remind us the power of words, okay? Words are frequencies, so words are spells. And since Pisces and Neptune are very creational energy, it's you know, co-creating with the divine source of all things, you know, in the deepest sense, that words have meaning and therefore consequences. So calling something conspiracy theory is just the dumbest thing to sort of silence that subject. But it's not about that word. It's, like I said, it's the movement of awareness that people don't like, right? Especially people who were in authority, in power, in charge in the former reality. But it's very hard to struggle with cosmic energies. I mean, it's very hard to play with people who are now seeing everything and just awakened to the deepest truths. And you know how you do that to the strongest level? By having a very strong intuition. You have to be in tune with yourself from time to time. That means being still and retreating to self, right? So that you can know what is real and what is not, what is true, what is not, what is you and what is not you, and what matters, what's important, and what doesn't. For that, you need to be in tune with your intuition, with your own messaging device. Your body is a beautiful instrument for that, and it's your soul communicating continuously with you. And this is gonna get so much stronger, I feel, when Neptune's gonna enter Aries the day after this eclipse. And I made a whole video about that, the Neptune in Aries video, so link below. Because that's going to start a new 165-year cycle, and who wouldn't want to know about that? And what, you know, no spoiler alert, I should, you know, say. But near the end of that video, I kind of give away the true agency of that whole story, of why it's going to be so impactful for everyone, for the history books, that Neptune goes into Aries. if you haven't awoken to, you know, the Neptunian side of life from 2011 until 2025, then Neptune in Aries is going to be an eye-opener. I think there is no way of going back. There's going to be so much light, so much visibility of things that even way more than what we just had the last 14 years. So it's interesting that during this lunation we're at the last grip of the 165-year cycle, and in that video I also talk about how the last 165 years was, as far as we know, the biggest wars in history, called the World Wars, right? World War I, World War II. It starts actually right away when Neptune goes into Aries with the Civil War in the US. And what's so interesting is that in those years, and it coincides with the other outer planet issues or energies that are going on, which is again this year, right? All the outer planets are changing signs and they have a huge impact upon everything. Everything. And so back then it was not only wars, that's kind of more the consequence of what was really going on, and that was a change in authority. Okay, so the biggest change that occurred the last 165 years of Neptune around the zodiac was that we went from a visible elitist authority of kings and queens and aristocrats and you know, like the Tsars in Russia, and then the whole empire, Austrian Empire in Europe, and then you have the Ottoman Empire. So all of those authorities changed. All the empires went down, you know, including Marie Antoinette, right? The French kings and queens system. Not that there isn't an elitist system right now, but it was a huge overthrow of authority and those in charge, seemingly, to the visible eye. And it, of course, didn't go easily. It went with wars. And they were very destructive because everyone in the world was involved. Huge change in violence, and unfortunately, the next 165 years of Neptune around the zodiac is where we need to think about if we want that or we want something else. I think the wanting something else is not only natural, but also really pushed by the universe. We have awakened to the truth last 100 years, but probably last 50 years very strongly, that there is no way of going back. Like I said, if you see, you start to see the threads, the connections, the lines, what was invisible, what was, you know, what you were very naive about. Well, there's no way of unseeing that once you see it. So, and I think that's why the next 165 years are crucial, and it's going to change the game. And yeah, new moon in Aries is that game. And how wild is it that it coincides with Neptune starting its 165-year new journey? We have a huge push to change reality, to see more brightly, to believe more intently, to fight for what is right from a soul perspective, and just take charge individually. Hopefully no more are we going to be led by you know, the pyramid structure with certain people on top and the bottom being in service of the few who decide that they are the bosses, the leaders. And that's the Aries thing. Like, do you be in charge of yourself, of your own life, of your own destiny? You do that by making a soul connection with yourself, understanding that this is not just, you know, you being born, having a few experiences, and then you die, and that's it. You know, if that's what you think, then you lost the whole Pisces storyline. You lost the whole 12th sign of the zodiac energy. And that's okay. You'll just come back and live again and again and again until you get the message. So you choose what you want. Okay, back to the chart. I think first of all, it's very interesting that there is a asteroid connection. The new moon solar eclipse in Aries is conjunct asteroid Psyche. You know, you may have heard of Eros and Psyche, which is a little nod to a video I made with a fellow astrologer, Jasmina, about Bridgerton. So if there are any Bridgerton fans here, I will, you know, it will be in the description if you want to watch that. That was a really cool video we made about that TV show. And the leading characters were called Eros and Psyche. So those who are a fan will know. And Eros and Psyche is like the ultimate passionate couple in mythology, right? So, and that's at play here during the solar eclipse. Psyche is about the trial and tribulations on the path of true love. Of course, Eros as well is about the deep, intense passion, which is again a very Aries solar eclipse word as well. It's a need to trust and have mental stimulation, mental connection with, you know, especially in your love life. And this is really a moment where we can really seek that ultimate passion and love, lust. That's the Aries word, the lust, the desire, the fire for life, for living, for love, for love, for love. And that being a way of living, sort of. There are two main aspects, the sextile to Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees, which is do you, authentic. There's no other way. If you do another way, it's like a wool sweater that's itching all the time. You have to do you in the most pure, authentic version. And for that, yeah, sometimes you need to go very deep within and be a little annoying for the people around you because you're discarding everything you're not, and that's quite a process. You're throwing off one by one what is totally not yours and was totally put upon you by whomever, right? Doesn't even matter. It's about carving out the real you, and to be very unapologetic about it, to be fierce in your unique expression, what you put on to the table, and really embrace yourself, your own identity. That's going to be the fuel, everything, the power that drives you forward, right? The other sextile is to Jupiter in Gemini, and that's about, like I said, the words and also the power of learning, gathering information, but also, you know, communication, sharing, talking. It's also mental health. So Jupiter in Gemini is about the rational approach, you know, using your prefrontal lobe, weighing in the logic to things as well, more rational. And it's also very expansive because of Jupiter. So there is luck, fortune, blessings, expansion, with this solar eclipse as well, huge part of it is learning and, you know, knowledge. A lot of flooding of ideas and thoughts, like I said. A lot of concepts that we're understanding and we should understand. And also a lot of skills we need to adapt and move into. For our entrepreneurs, this is a good omen, you know, because Aries is about business as well, being your own boss, entrepreneurial, pioneering, going at it at first, being the first to do it or doing it by yourself. That's the Aries energy. And then Jupiter is also about business, trade, import, export, right? So it's also very beneficial for business, self-employment, and both these energies are so fast, you know, the air and fire. It's just, you know, putting fuel to the flame. So we have a lot of motivation. We have a lot of passion moving forward. You know, a solar eclipse is always the birth of a 6-month cycle. So at least 6 months long, we are feeling very energized potentially, especially at the 9 degrees area of your chart. So that house is very energized coming 6 months. The ruler, Mars, is in Crab, and has been going retrograde for a very long time, right? It went direct at the end of February, I think. So it's officially in the post-shadow period. Not quick and active and vital like usual, but still better than in the retrograde. So Mars is trining Saturn. This is great. Huge flow of direction, goals, there is seriousness, there's maturity, there's discipline and focus that we can tap into. And it's about long-term goals, and it has to be emotionally backed. You have to feel it in your gut, and what you feel in your gut is the right thing. So I think the whole Aries, as well as the Mars, and the Mars being in the Crab, you have to have a really good connection with your body. And this plays into the other eclipses that we have in Virgo. The one we had 2 weeks ago, and the one we will have 6 months later as well in Virgo. So you need to have a really good relationship with your body, your physical vessel. It's not just a wonderful, amazing vehicle that's helping you move around in this world and helping every cell, you know, utilizing every cell, every energy, you know, changing it up, healing what needs to be healed. The body is an amazing thing, and you know, we all need to be very grateful of it and understand our body more and more. Our body is continuously talking to us, messaging us, trying to get our attention, and it's telling us no, it's telling us yes. You know, it's the greatest navigational tool as well. So trust your body with what it's telling you. And a disease, you know, is of course a loss of ease, so illness, right? And it's also telling you something that you have maybe done too much, or you haven't looked at what that particular organ is representing in your body. And you know, if it's your liver, let's say you've suppressed fears just in a very basic way. If you have lung issues, you know, there's sadness, there's grief that you haven't looked at. If there's stuff going on in your private area, let's say, that's because you don't feel safe, and you know, there are security issues, which is very Aries. It's the first chakra. It's the red chakra. It's very Aries, actually. Your body is wonderful, and you need to have a stronger connection with it. It's not just me saying it. It's the stars. it's astrology saying this as well. So okay, the trine to Saturn, great. Then there is Mars sextiling Uranus. And actually, Saturn and Uranus are sextiling each other exactly at 24 degrees. That is, cementing in something, because Saturn is in Pisces water, Uranus is in Taurus earth. Water and earth are the greatest fundament for stable building. So this is where we can cement something as solid as a rock. These two are about authority, about legacy, about finding your own way, your essence, but going at it with discipline and responsibility, the ability to respond. So back to the ruler Mars. Mars is making a sextile to Uranus, right? This is bringing in a lot of innovation, new ways of thinking, new concepts, new ways of doing, being shocked, surprised about what's changing in your reality, what you can build now. This is also opportunities that may suddenly come in and change your course, change your goals, what you find important and what matters to you personally, so that you change your game. Then the ruler Mars is also squaring Chiron in Aries, who's conjunct with Aries, and she's a bit of a troublemaker. So it's about, for them feminine, it's a very deep wound about anger, chaos, not being able to express your anger, of kind of also retaliation energy. Not feeling like you belong, like you're not invited to the game, like you're discarded in some way. It's really the essence of, don't be afraid to knock a few things over, to make a statement for yourself, because you need to honor yourself. You need to prioritize yourself. It's important. But not as important anymore as when the North Node was in Aries. Because now it's not just self-prioritization, which is part of the Chiron story, but it's, you need to have more sensitivity. And, well, Mars is not very good at it. Chiron is about our deep hurts, our pain, our trauma, right? It's the journey of putting pain into purpose, but it's a painful journey. This square between Mars and Chiron is, we need to have more sensitivity about it not just being about yourself. We need to have sensitivity for our body, like I said, what the body's messaging us, and also the care it needs, and therefore nurture it. But also, overcoming, I don't know, body dysmorphia or self-esteem issues, confidence issues. The sensitivity is therefore not just around you and, thinking about the other, but also the sensitivity for your own needs and your body's expression or your bodily needs. A potential of indication of some safety issues or homeland security issues, and I suppose there is a potential for escalation easily, irritations and triggers, personally and collectively. And this is a point where, the issue of fighting a war or aggression of some kind can occur in the collective, especially as like homeland security and border issues, right? Countries and leaders, because, Aries is about the leadership. That also sometimes means literally leaders we know to be leaders in the world. So yeah, massive stellium in Pisces and a bit of Aries. Weird timing of it coinciding with Neptune in Aries. This is a huge birth of energy, a huge potential of freedom, of liberation, of excitement, of adventure, of love, of truth, of a whole new page that is being ignited in your storyline. So may you have a wonderful Aries solar eclipse. Check out where 9 degrees of Aries is in your chart, which house. Below this video, you also see house descriptions. So tell me which house is being activated for you. Please like and subscribe to this channel to support me. Thank you for watching. And again, have a wonderful Aries solar eclipse. Stay alert, stay aware, don't get fooled, and go your own way. This is the best thing to do. Stand in your passion and find it again if you have lost it. All right. Take care. Bye.